the four founders in UK had come together again, and they said, we are going to start a company and we are going to work on cloud technologies. Do you want to come and help set up the India Delivery Center with us? It was even before Microsoft had come up with Azure. Azure was not even there. But I went to my manager and said, I'm leaving.
Now, when you had the idea of Zensible, are you using the same ethos even now?
If you give them the freedom and the opportunity to do what they want, they would give you the results that you need. I don't believe in micromanaging. I don't believe in going behind them and say, hey, did you log in now? What time are you logging out? Are you working today? When I started studying psychology, I had no intention of leaving CloudThing. I wanted to study psychology so that I can help people better. I went to this internship at this brilliant place called Heart It Out, and while I was there with them, I had left technology to pursue psychology, but that techie in me will not go away. I was like, why isn't there a tool for this?
So, Vedha, you mentioned CloudThing. So, let's start your journey from CloudThing.
I was working in this company called Proteans, which got acquired by Symphony, which is now Harman. So when I was working with Proteans, I worked only with one client. I was actually hired for that client exclusively. They were a UK-based company called I2Q/Synetrix. They had four founders there, amazing, brilliant people from UK who wanted to expand their development team in India, and we were the development team. So we worked with them closely for 3 years, and then things happened. They left to do something else. I left to do something else. I went to EFI. And while I was at EFI, the four founders in UK had come together again, and they wanted to, at that time, cloud was just beginning to become a thing. It was even before Microsoft had come up with Azure. Azure was not even there. So they said, we are going to start a company and we are going to work on cloud technologies. Do you want to come and help set up the India Delivery Center with us? And I didn't even have to think twice. That day, I went to my manager and told him, I mean, I love EFI. I had a good time there, but I went to my manager and said, I'm leaving. That day, there was nothing written, nothing else, because I loved working with those four founders in UK. They are amazing. They all four had their own set of strengths. One was really good with finance and operations. The other one was really, really good with sales. And then there are two tech founders. One was very good with front-end tech. Other was very, very good with back-end tech. Right. They made that entire wholesome package, and they make working with them so much fun and easy. So I was like, no brainer. I'm just joining. And that's how my stint with CloudThing started. I was the first one in India and the fifth overall in worldwide. Right. And from there, we started building the company. We thought, should we start, on our own? And what happened was, I told them, it's very difficult. At that time, startup was not such a big thing. In India, people did not like to come and work at startup like they do now. Now, a lot of young people, straight out of college, they either want to have a startup of their own, right, or they want to work at a startup because that's where the learning is, they think. It wasn't that way like 12 years back when we started CloudThing. So I told them, no, I think we will have trouble finding the right kind of people. So we partnered with another firm so that we could take their developers, and we were doing a lot of good tech, a lot of good products there.
But what were some of the challenges? Because I understand this was, if like this is around the time when Microsoft Azure was coming up, and I'm guessing this was early adoption for India when it comes to tech also, right? Like world was slowly believing that good tech can come out of India. I think this is around the time. How hard was it to figure out team members and like build the team I mean, obviously working with another company is also cool, but like how was the whole ecosystem then?
It was a little difficult to find the right kind of talent. The point was us partnering with the other company. It really helped us, and they were very supportive of us. They would give us the best of the best team members. So for the first year or so, we didn't have to go to the market. We just picked the best team members from the organization. So much so that some of their other clients, I don't know if they came and complained to them, what is happening? Where are all the good guys that we were promised? But yeah, we took them in. There was a lot of learning because everybody was learning cloud at that time. You had to be like really, really quick and learn pretty quickly and do some crazy stuff. So that was, good for a couple of years. But after that, after the first couple of years, the thing that really worked for us was we would go to freshers, we'll hire freshers. We were not like the Infosys or the Wipro where we took people in the thousands. We were not that. We were small. We took 2 people, 3 people, 5 people. But whoever we took, they went through an intense training that was done internally by us for about 3 months. And then they were paired up with mentors, and we built the kind of people with the kind of skill set that we wanted organically like that. So people stayed with us for about 3 to 4 years minimum, these freshers, not because we had signed a bond, but because they wanted to be here. So when I look back at some of the people who we had taken in as freshers, they're doing some brilliant things right now in their life, and I always feel so glad, oh my God, we were part of that journey. We were in some way helping them go through that first step. So to answer your question, that's how we found the right set of people. One, we got them from outside, but also we invested in these freshers quite a lot, and we built them up, and that helped us.
I think that's a really good way to build when you have going for like a smaller team, execution heavy. That's a very good idea.
So Vedha, you started from there, and now when you had the idea of Zensible, are you using the same ethos even now? Has anything changed from now to then?
My philosophy and ideology when it comes to people has not changed at all. I believe and trusted in people then, and I believe and trust in people now. I just feel like if you give them the freedom and the opportunity to do what they want, they would give you the results that you need. So I don't believe in micromanaging. I don't believe in going behind them and say, hey, did you log in now? What time are you logging out? Are you working today? It's very flexible. I'm very open, honest. I tell people what's happening with me, why I had not done that. So if I miss out on a deliverable, I tell people this is why I hadn't done that. And the more I open up, the more people realize that, oh, okay, so I can tell her too why I'm struggling, what I'm struggling with. So that has not changed, and it's worked for me in the past, and it continues to work for me. Unless somebody comes and tells me you're doing it wrong, I'm not going to revisit that. It works for me.
That's a really good way to see it. In today's world where there's still micromanagement that exists, I think everybody enjoys autonomy of work, and that's the kind of work culture that you already built from then and continue to build even now.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between like as far as you have seen? What is the main difference that you have seen with micromanaging and giving that autonomy to people?
So when you micromanage people, they are doing it for you, okay? They are not doing it for themselves. So when you give that autonomy, that responsibility itself is a driving force. I don't say that it works at all times.
Right.
Large organizations, they cannot afford to do that. They have commitments, deliverables, and they work with so many different set of people that sometimes there is a chance that it gets misused, right? When the pool of people that you have to work with is large, you're not going to have the same sort of people. So it will not work in larger organizations. But in smaller organizations where I have been and that's where I thrive, it is much easier to give that autonomy, okay? So I wouldn't say that there isn't a place for it. Sometimes you have to go behind people, but still micromanagement makes it about you. Autonomy makes it about them, and coming from within usually delivers better results than external influence.
Somehow I feel your whole ethos around this kind of fits why you have founded Zensible. That warmth, that sensitivity, that openness and acceptance. In my opinion, that's very important for a founder to have all of these qualities instilled in them. Only then you can back up a team and people will get behind you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how was building Zensible other than just the team building, and give us a bird's eye view of it.
Okay, so I spoke a little bit about CloudThing. Towards the end of my tenure at CloudThing, I was doing a lot of similar things, right? I was always a people person. So I work with people come to me and say, hey, I have this problem. How do I solve this? Or I am struggling with this issue. What do I do? So predominantly 75% of my time was going in, talking to people, helping them with their work, non-work, whatever issues, right? So when I started studying psychology, I had no intention of leaving CloudThing. I wanted to study psychology so that I can help people better. I can give whatever advice I was giving. I wanted to make sure that it was coming from the right place if this is what I'm going to be doing, right? And I started studying, and then I decided, you know what, this is so interesting. And I told my founders, like, see, I got really interested. This wasn't something I planned, but now I can't get my head out of it. So I left to pursue psychology full time. And because you don't just study psychology, you apply it, and you need help from outside. I went to this internship at this brilliant place called Heart It Out. They gave me a second career person the opportunity to start from the scratch, and they taught me a lot. And while I was there with them, I had left technology to pursue psychology, but the techie in me will not go away. I was looking at what therapists were doing day to day. I was like, why isn't there a tool for this? They were writing notes, and when you have 5-6 sessions with people, and you talk to so many different people on a daily basis, before each session you have to go revisit all of your notes, you have to refresh your own mind, because that you cannot afford to forget what your clients have told you. That would break the trust they have in you. And they would spend so much time trying to figure out what they have written and prepare for the session, what can they give as between session activities, and they were doing all of this manually. And it was like, isn't there a tool to do that? There should be an easier way to do this, track this. And that's where we started thinking about Zensible. The psychologist and the technologist in me came together and said, there must be a better way to do this. And we still don't have full-time employees. I have a co-founder with me. He's an amazing techie. My technology is at surface level. His technical knowledge is just so deep. He tries to make everything so simple, and he trusted in me enough to come and work with us. And that's because we work together at CloudThing, and he knows how I operate. I know how he operates. That trust is really important when it comes to co-founders.
Right.
And he came on board, and the rest of the people who are working with me also came on board because they believed in what we are doing. They all believe in the core idea. So one of the things as a startup founder is to make sure that people believe in the vision that you're trying to create. If you have internally people questioning you, what are you doing? What is this? Then you also start doubting yourself. They should ask questions. I'm not saying you should surround yourself with yes people who always says, oh my God, Vedha, what a brilliant idea. You're the best. Then you will never grow. You have to have people who challenge you, push you, question you. But at the same time, the core idea of what you're trying to achieve, that you need to have buy-in from your team. That's when you'll be able to do that. So that's where Zensible came from, people who came together and believed in what we are doing.
Interesting. I was talking to a founder, I forget his name. He mentioned this, that in a startup team, you want people who are aligned in the vision but needs to have strong core beliefs. So they will challenge you at every step, but they know this is the ultimate goal and they work towards it, but they always challenge you on the things that you would want to do.
That is exactly right. You need that. Otherwise, you are not going to grow.
Exactly.
It's really important that people feel, okay, she's not going to take it badly if I
Right.
say, what is this? What is the story that you have written that I'm supposed to be working on and delivering? The story doesn't even make sense. So, yeah, so they need to be able to say that to you without
Very
feeling like, oh, I'm going to get in
Implementing.
trouble.
Yeah. And I think the superpower in startups is saying we can do it. In a bigger organization, the superpower is saying no, we can't do it. This is something that I've observed. Because in startup, it's like, no, we don't have this, no, we don't have that, so we can't do this. But the ability to do it is what counts.
Yeah.
I think I would say in the startup. But just like going a little back in terms of Zensible, if you had to give like an elevator pitch, so just to give context to the people who are watching, they might not know what Zensible is. Just to give like an elevator pitch, what is Zensible?
You go to therapy, you speak to your therapist for an hour, but it's not that 1 hour therapists give. They give as much as 1 more hour in preparation before your session and in post activities after your session. In a country like India, where the number of mental health professionals or professionals to people who need help are very, very less, this time that they spend where it can be automated, it can be tracked better, we should do that. And that is where Zensible came from, with the idea that therapists' time should be spent with the clients more than spent outside the client in administrative tasks. So that is where Zensible came in.
What was the first instance that you realized, like, you definitely need a product around this?
So, like I said, when I was at Heart It Out, right? Heart It Out has a lot of internal tools. Okay, they have tools, but the tools are very Heart It Out therapist centric. Okay, there is a way to make it generic and make it better available for everybody. So when I was trying to work with them, learn from them, I learned that, okay, there is no tool out in India. So in US and European markets, there are so many tools. And with the advent of AI, right, there is so much you can do. One thing I want to mention is I do not believe that AI is ready to be given out to mental health clients directly without a human in loop. And it's not just me saying that. I've done a lot of research, and a lot of research also suggests that there are so many self-help apps that are out there in the market. And the usage, you may see that the download count of these self-help apps are in like millions. But The download count is one metric, the usage count is another metric, right? They download it, they use it for 5 days, 10 days. After that, it just lies in your phones or laptops
Correct.
unused. Whether it is meditation app, journal app, self-help, self-growth apps, it just lies dormant, okay? So research does suggest that if you include a therapist in the loop, okay, that you have the apps and whatever you are doing outside of the therapy session goes in as input to your therapist. Okay, imagine this. I have insomnia. Let's say I don't have insomnia. I have the opposite problem, but imagine that I have insomnia, right? And the therapist tells me that, hey, before you go to sleep, listen to this meditation app, do your meditation or breathing exercises, and then go to sleep. Okay, so they say that in the session, I remember some of it, I forget a lot of it, I come back, okay, but then I use it. But who is going to track my sleep patterns?
Correct.
The next time I come back to therapy, I would probably remember the last 2-3 days what my sleep quality was, whether I was good sleeping, not good sleeping. There are so many variables these days that track your sleep patterns, okay? How about we track the data that is coming from the wearables? I spoke about one part, which is automating therapists' notes, homework, activities, resources, sending it to the clients automatically. But these data that is there in the wearable these days, before my next session, if we can send it to the therapist, and not just send the raw data. They're not going to be going through 15 days of your sleep pattern data. They would sleep. That is their insomnia cure, right? But if AI can be used to identify the pattern, they slept for 5 days well, but then in between they had 3 days of intermittent problem sleeping, and then they slept for 2 days better, okay? If that summary can go to them, the session already begins from a place of knowing what you had done, what you had gone through, right? And it's not just about sleep. With your Apple Watch these days, it tracks your anxiety levels as well. It also prompts you to say that, hey, why are you anxious right now? Is it because you're in a new place? Is it because 2 people are asking you crazy questions? So it asks you, and if the client ends up answering them, okay,
Right.
you have a pattern of data right there, okay? And we are talking about general concerns like insomnia and anxiety, but there are much more concerns that need much more help, like bipolar disorder, like psychosis, like schizophrenia. In fact, I had somebody from NIMHANS on my webinar sometime back, 3-4 weeks back. They have developed, in correlation with Harvard Labs, an app that will track symptoms of schizophrenia, clients with schizophrenia, their trigger points, and they are able to show that if we track this data, we can predict their next episode. Right? Retroactively, they have not predicted it now, but retrospectively working backwards from a trigger event, they were able to work backwards, look at the data and confirm that there are markers from the data that are available. And we will be, if we build on top of it, we'll be able to predict the next trigger and both warn the client and also warn the therapist so that they can work on it together. So there is an unbelievable amount of data that you have available. If you only know how to synthesize, process, and work through that, this is going to be a very, very good time for mental health.
Got some really good pointers, something that we didn't know about either. Plus, psychosis, schizophrenia, these are all very taboo topics. But There's a lot of research done on what to do next, but not in a retrospective manner. How can we catch it early? And AI is playing a very big role, even if it comes to things like detecting breast cancer. A lot of medical uses are coming in. But I'm just thinking in my head, something that I am skeptical about as well. It's great that AI tech can use my data, but do you think India is equipped to have that data laws which are tight enough to make sure that my data is still protected and I'm still giving it out to people that I trust?
Like how the current laws are and what are the laws that are expected. So we have a little clearer picture of what is the current situation with the data. So somebody who's watching will also know what to share, what not to share on platforms.
Currently, there is no major data protection laws in India as they are in other countries. But Indian government is working towards bringing up the DPDP Act, which is the Data Protection Act. Okay, so they have been talking to a lot of industry experts, people, with the public, and the laws are coming, and it will have a huge impact, especially if they enforce it on applications that are coming out, saying you have to be data protection, you have to show us that you are protecting the client's data. But the thing is, the laws are only coming in, which means that the ideas of who is going to police that and how we are going to police that, okay, and what happens if you are not compliant. So it will take a few years for all of that to settle in, okay, but that does not mean that clients have to be like, okay, I cannot trust this app. One thing that clients or therapists, whoever, or even forget about mental health, anybody who is downloading and installing an application, okay, what they have to do is take a look at that app or the app's website to see what they are saying. Okay, read through the privacy policy. Okay, it is so boring. Yes, I know it's much more easier to just tick and just go on. But if you are sharing private information, go through the privacy policy, figure out who they are okay to share it with, who they will not share it with, okay, and what data they will share it. Forget about any laws. You as a consumer can decide, you know what, I'm not happy with what this company is saying. You don't need the government to, right now, you want the government to have those laws, but in the absence or in the space where it is still growing, you as a consumer can take a knowledgeable decision, okay. I'm not happy with their laws, I'm not going to use their app. You don't need to, there are so many apps available. You don't, if you have shady apps, you don't need to download and install them, right? So that is one thing with respect to data protection. A lot of other mental health organizations, what they have decided is, even if there are no stringent data protection laws in India yet, we are going to comply with HIPPA. Okay, which is the US's Health Data Protection Act, right? That is much more stringent. If you are HIPAA compliant is different, HIPAA certified is different. So a lot of apps say we are HIPAA compliant. Compliant means we could be protecting your data. HIPAA certified means we are. Okay, so there is a difference.
So the keyword is certified.
Yeah, you have to have certification. Okay, if you have the certification, it means that you have really thought through your data laws, how you use your data. So if anybody is watching this, seeing this, my request to them is, read the privacy policy, look at the website. You are in control of your data. Even if other people are not coming and policing it, you can still be in aware of what is happening in your data. But we are progressing in India. We are progressing. It will take time, but we are going towards the right direction.
How are you tackling these challenges while it's a gray area and still building a therapist-facing app and not for client? What are the challenges that you are encountering and how are you navigating through?
Also, just to add to this, even when it comes to banking and stuff around that, right, the amount of error needs to be very low because of the kind of impact it has on the consumers.
Right.
And like, because like privacy of data is a very big issue
Mhm.
in India. Just to add on that, how do you keep that in the forefront when you are working with like a ecosystem such as mental health?
Yeah, that is a very good question. And one of the things that we do at Zensible is right from the time when we are writing the story. Okay. I don't know if you are aware of the product journey. You first write the feature, then write the story,
Yes.
and then do the design, and then do the
Right.
coding, testing. So, right when we are writing the feature, one of the acceptance criteria in the feature is privacy security compliance. Okay. Every single feature that touches on client data, our story will have a acceptance criteria that includes privacy security compliance. We would say this data cannot go back to the database. This data needs to be cleansed of private information before it is stored in the database. And this data never gets tracked at all. So these kind of criteria or non-functional criteria are there in every single story. By making it part of the story itself, we ensure that it does not even end up in a dev. They don't, they take care of that in a dev properly. And when a story is signed off, this has to be ticked and said, yes, these data protections are there in the story. That's when the story gets accepted. So from the very, very, very early stage, we do that. Not only that, when you are developing the application, right, you can get too much into it that you cannot look at the edges sometimes. Because you're so focused on the feature, the what you are building, you don't look at the edges. So what we have, and this is not for HIPAA compliance or anything like that, this is for our own sake that we want to do. We have a third party person come in and audit our technical design every time. Every time we make a major technical design, we have a third party person who's not involved in our story writing, who's not involved in our day-to-day development, come and take a look at our technical architecture and say, hey, what about this?
Correct.
Right? So we have already made 2 major technical changes to our application because this audit person came in and said, this you have not taken care of. Okay, so that is how we maintain that. Okay, eventually we will be certified. We are not, we are very young, but we will be HIPAA certified. We will be DPTP certified. We will be, fully compliant. And we, not just because of the compliance, we value clients' data. We want to make sure that we protect clients and therapists, because only with trust will they want to use our application.
This is an iterative process, right? It
Yeah.
goes hand in hand.
Mhm.
Do you think you will have more challenges once the database grows and the user base grows?
Of course. And we have to be ready for that. The more people start using our application, the more you will, not only with data privacy and confidentiality, but also from external threats, right? So we have to be aware of that. We have to align with that. We have to constantly evolve our confidentiality, privacy, security practices, and we will continue to do that. That will be at the forefront of everything that we stand for.
I have always had this question. I've seen how like the US markets operate when it comes to mental health. It's a very big thing when, like in any developed countries, but like in a country like India where it's still like a major taboo just talking about mental, how is like the whole ecosystem different here to there? What do you think like is the major difference?
So
and something that people have to keep in mind if they are building any products around mental health.
Yeah. So
is there a fundamental audience behavior difference that you can see right from the research part of it?
Yeah, so it is true. Okay, and I'll give you an example, right? I was reading this article. I can't remember if it was in Deccan Herald or Times, but I was reading this article just 2 days back, where they say the number of insurance claims that have happened in India for mental health sessions is less than 1% of all insurance claims that have been in India. Okay, so a lot of big companies have started giving insurance for their employees, which include mental health in it. But still, people do not utilize that, use that for various reasons. One, because they are not even aware. They are aware of how many free physical health checkups you can get. They are aware of whether cataract is covered in it or not, whether there is 20% copay for their parents or not.
Yeah.
But they just completely block out when it comes to mental health. Okay, they're talking about mental health. Let me start working on something else while they are they're not even pay attention.
I think
So
they just stop when it comes.
okay, enough. I have enough information, right? So one, they are not even aware that it is covered. Okay. Two, when it comes through their employers, they still don't want to use it because they feel like, what if when at the end of the year the data goes back, my HRs know that I have used mental health service. Will it affect my work, my promotion, my salary because I have had to get help, right? So that is another thing. The worry about what if my employer knows about it, and then what if other people, my friends know about it, my colleagues know about it, my family knows about it. There is still that stigma here in India. Okay, in US and other countries, that is where they have gone past that quite a lot. People are open and say, yes, I have been going to therapy, I have been talking to a therapist. They are okay to say that, right? They have a different sort of challenges. And APA, American Psychological Association, posted about it yesterday, incidentally, about what are the problems that therapists in US face when it comes to health insurance.
Okay.
Yeah. So apparently they are health insurance providers because mental health is not like physical health. You can prove that this person needed surgery.
Correct.
And therefore they needed this insurance claim. How do you show people that this person is depressed?
Correct.
And this person needs to talk through that depression, right? But the insurance providers, they don't immediately reject it. They give the money back. But after 1 year, 2 years, they come back to the therapist and say, this person did not need therapy with you. We are taking away the money. You pay us back, you know? And they get into that sort of a situation. So that is where we are. There, people are okay to go for therapy, talk about therapy. Therapy is expensive over there, but they use their insurance and go for it anyways. In India, the point is they know they need therapy, but they would still rather not go and talk to somebody because the stigma is there. With the younger generation, it is getting better. It is, they are a lot more open, they talk a lot more, and they come up with this cool slangs for all of this, which I'm not even going to get into. I'm not going to pretend I know that. I don't know that. So, but yeah, they are much more open. That is the difference. It will take us some more time to reach there.
What are the other sort of touch points that you're having with your audience other than the stigma part of it? Is there any other interesting market research data point that you have found between a global audience and an Indian audience?
I keep going back to the tools because I firmly believe that technology can be used for good, right? One of the data points that I found is that a therapist in US, Europe, Australia, they will have as many as 3 different tools that they use. One is for EHR, which is patient health records, PHR rather. And another one is for notes. and a third one for homework tracking. They use
Okay.
as many as 3 different tools over there, and they have to use it because the insurance will ask for the notes, whether it's not personalized. They need the client's notes in a protected manner for them to give back the claimed amount. Okay, so they have to use that. In India, how many therapists are even sending back notes to their client, right? When you go to a doctor, and that is one of the other major reason, is that people do not see the output of a therapy session. It is not tangible. And in India, you need that tangible, I need to feel it in my hands kind of a thing, right? When you go to a physical health doctor, they give you medicine.
Correct.
And you have that prescription in your hand and you feel like, yes, my money brought this prescription, right? What is that thing in your hand when you go to a therapist, right? So, and this is not just me saying it, research has both quantifiably proved that when you give back notes to clients back, they feel much more in control. When they see, oh, this is what I spoke to my therapist about, this is what sometimes I don't even know what is troubling me unless I go to a session and I start talking, right? And when you get back out of that, you somehow figure it out, you block it out, you don't want to rethink that. But if you have the notes and in a calm manner after the session, you read through it, you are so surprised that, you know what, this has been what is bothering me.
Okay.
This is what has been running through my mind. And it has been undeniably proved that having these notes back to the client makes them feel much more in control of their mental health and they want to help themselves, right? And the same is true about giving them, and when I say homework, it's not like your school homework, something that you give back to the client to try between sessions. That has also improved the therapy outcomes positively by 40%. Yeah, and that is through multiple, like thousands of people have been surveyed, and it's been proved that these two are actually helping them. Okay, in another month, we will have a white paper done for Indian audience on this very topic, and it will be published with the results of these, right? So that is, these kind of things is what is needed in India to show that this is how we take mental health to the next level in India. This is how we make them see the value of the time, effort, money that people are spending it. Because let's be honest, Indian people want value. Jugaad is everything. So
it's okay, I'll talk to my best friend. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It'll still be okay. I'll still have some confidant to, just share this with, and we'll just get on.
Yeah.
I recently read a doctor write about this. So US, it's very big of figuring out what is wrong with you, then giving, medicating you on that. But in India, we are prescription first, because the doctor mentioned, because if I don't give a prescription, they think I'm a bad doctor.
Has to be a quantifiable solution, as you said.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
hey, this is your problem, and this in quantification is your medicine.
You don't even need to know the problem.
Yeah.
You need to know the medicine.
Yeah.
Okay, I go to the doctor. I mean, this is in no way true of everybody,
Yes,
but
obviously.
I would probably accept without knowing. Just give a medication, and I'll be like, yes, I went to the doctor. They gave me medication. My parents, when they call and ask me, did you go to the doctor? Yes. It's not what did they say, what did they give is the question that comes. So that is it takes time for us to get away from that. That's what we have been used to.
You have shown that courage because you also believe in the ethos yourself, to build apps or tech, integrate tech and mental health together. But maybe not a lot of founders, even if they want to, would take that risk appetite to try something in this area. Do you think there are any external factors or market factors that are affecting the decisions?
Yes. One, because of the privacy concerns, right? And the stigma. Therapists, for these notes and everything to work, right? We need consent from the clients to say, yes, I'm okay for my data, even if it is my personally identifiable information is removed. Even if it is removed, I'm happy for it to reside somewhere. Okay, they given the stigma around mental health, getting people to come to therapy itself is it takes time, right? And on top of that, to tell them I'm going to store some part of your data in a particular app, right, that you probably have to go and research about, it will be an additional thing for them to convince, right? So that it will take time, but when people start seeing the results of it, that is when the growth will come. So it will take time for people to for us to convince that, but once they start seeing the results, they will adopt it. So the risk appetite is the time, effort, energy that you have to spend, not just convincing the therapist to use, but the clients to also use it and say, you know what, I gotcha. I got your data, I got you, I am not going to misuse that. Okay,
Right.
It will take time. That is why people are giving us much more self-help app, because clients are like, I own it, I choose it, okay, and I have control over it, and I can delete it. You have to give the same confidence to them, saying if tomorrow you want to delete your data, whatever it is, even confidential cleansed data, you have the control to go and delete it whenever you want. You need to give them that confidence.
The psychology here as well, the trust factor doesn't go away from business quite a bit.
Yes. That is true. But founders in general, I read this article about this Flipkart employee who left his high-paying job and wanted to become rich. And his motivation was, I want to leave Flipkart, I want to become really rich, so I'm going to start a startup. And his first startup did not go anywhere, it failed. And now he has this some Go credit or whatever. OK credit. Yes, OK credit. So he now has OK credit. It is still a long and arduous journey. One of the things that people don't talk about, or even if people talk about it, other people who want to be founders block it out, is it's a long journey. It's a long journey. You do not come into the startup ecosystem thinking that I will have a 9-digit exit in 2 years, 3 years. Do not come into this thinking that you are going to have like a great exit.
How many companies? We have had 3 exits until now in India. That big, like a 9-digit. It's been 3 with all these startups that we have already figured out. We have 3 exits that big.
So unless you are passionate about what you're solving, find a problem that you actually want to solve. Yes, it is easy for me to say, don't chase the money, chase the solution. It's easy for me to say. But if you want to actually do a startup, do the groundwork. Think, how long am I going to sustain without any income from this? Okay, be honest with yourself. Okay, sometimes you need an external person to come in and tell you, are you sure? Show me your numbers. What have you done? Okay, so be honest with yourself. Find, it can be really, really lonely journey. So find somebody who you will enjoy doing it with. Make sure that you and your co-founder have a co-founder. Don't try and do it alone. Trust me. Have a co-founder and somebody who you are at par with, you have that alignment with, and enjoy the journey. Come into it thinking, I'm going to enjoy the journey, and then you will.
too.
I have this itch. I have to ask you: Is this one of the reason that you found a complementary co-founder with complementary skill set? You being more of a warm up to person and believing in the vision, the strategy part of it. Was it a conscious decision to have a co-founder who's strong on tech?
Yes, I knew where I was lacking. I can
Okay.
talk tech, but I cannot do tech. I have been a technologist for 20 years, but I understand it, but I don't enjoy it. I needed somebody who actually enjoys it. Both of us believe in mental health. That is true. Okay, he is very passionate about mental health as well. He believes that mental health, especially in the work culture that we are in India, it's really, really important. He completely believes that. But his passion is technology, and I'm really happy that that is the way. I'm passionate about all the psych concept. He's passionate about all the tech concepts, and we really work well together. I'm really happy.
That's nice. That's really good.
Yeah.
Tracking back a little bit on what you said, this is also one of the things that I feel founders think about a lot. At some point, when you start scaling in spaces like these, are you really looking out for a scenario where you may have investors coming on board or raising rounds?
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on it? And do you think the way you build will have any effect on where you're going?
Absolutely. If there are a lot of founders who want to keep it bootstrapped, and I completely appreciate where they are coming from. But for me and for Zensible, having funding would really help, not with building the product, but with taking the product to the market. We need to market it. We need to run events where we can bring good therapists and talk about it. We need to take this to the clients and show them how we have kept them in mind while we are building it. And that cannot happen organically. That needs a little bit more backing financially, and we would be completely open to that. And the one thing that we will not compromise on is having this directly in front of clients.
Okay.
We believe that there needs to be therapist in the loop. We have all the data that shows why the therapist needs to be in the loop. It will be a therapist first app, but I am fairly certain if we find a VC or a funder or an angel investor who aligns with that, we would definitely take it further. Okay. And one of the other things that I have not spoken about the aspirations of Zensible is, we are always, when we talk about mental health and therapy, we talk about urban cities.
Correct.
In cities like Bangalore, Mumbai, Kolkata, the knowledge and access to therapists is a lot more. But what we want to do is take it to tier 3 rural cities where the need is there, but the access is not there, right? And for us to be able to do that, we need the funds to take it, give it telemarketed, all of that. We need that. And we also want to, one of my dream is to have a small language model that is developed on Indian background, Indian cultural background. There are no models right now in mental health that have been trained on Indian contextual data. Every single model that is there out there in the market is trained on Western contextual data. Okay, and for us to be able to, this is my ultimate vision, where we have an Indian contextual data training this model, and the usage of this small language model is going to be phenomenal. You can have all of the self-help mental health apps that you are building using Indian contextual data, which will be much more relevant for your tier 3 and rural cities. Okay, you can get away with having a westernized model in tier 1 urban cities, it will never work in tier 3 and rural. And for that, we need to be able to build models. Building models is not cheap. So to answer your question, yes, if my ultimate vision is to come to fruition, I would need help, and I will not decline that. Even if I have to give up, control of some part of my organization, as long as there is vision alignment, I'm very clear. The dream and the solution is my priority.
Right. Can you shed us some more light on how is the investor stance on mental health building right now in Indian markets?
Just before COVID, there was a big push from Indian government for mental health, and that is why you see a lot more mental health apps in the market. That is why companies like Mind Peers, Your Toast, they all were able to establish themselves in the market because the government was so focused on mental health. And there is a real reason for it. The World Health Organization's report came out, and they said that one of the leading cause for disability worldwide and in India will be depression. So depression, we do not realize that. We talk about mental health from an individual perspective, but there is a whole economic implications. You're going to have a lot of impact on economy because you are going to have a workforce that is disabled due to depression, and its impact on Indian economy and the loss of revenue is going to be greater. And that is why Indian government started putting a lot more focus. This research that went from World Health Organization, it was done for a lot of South Asian countries, and India was one of the earliest people who started acting on that report and working on that. So coming back to your question, because of the government's push towards this, investors also opened up to it a lot more. What we need is we have focused on the investors, the government, everybody has focused on creating this ecosystem for mental health, bringing up a lot more organizations who will help with mental health, who will help therapists. But now it's time to make it much more productive, make it much more feasible, and expand its reach by focusing on the mental health tech. And a lot of incubators, a lot of investors, they are now looking at not healthcare, but health tech. So there is a lot of opportunities there because they have also shifted focus with that to health tech, AI-based health tech, IoT-based health tech. There is a lot of movement in that perspective, yes.
That's nice. Are there any other players like Zensible in the market? If yes, then how are you positioning yourself in the market and what are your differentiating factors? Just so that we know what different Zensible is doing and others do.
Yes, one of the things that makes me feel like I'm going in the right direction, if I am the only one doing it, then you have this doubt, are you sure? Why aren't other people doing it? If there was really a market, there will be players in the market. And there are other players in the market. There are people who are trying to build this, both in India and outside India. I'll talk about one set of organization, not all the other people who are doing it. Wysa, have you heard of Wysa? WYSA. Wysa is their development center is in India. I think it is also owned by people of Indian origin, but it has a market in UK. Wysa is, they have been in the market for a while. They have therapist apps, and between session, they use their application to help connect clients and therapists. They are coming up with Wysa AI Copilot.
Okay.
right? And they have just started announcing that they are doing the Copilot, and a lot of their features are pretty similar to Zensible's. And we had come up with the feature even before we knew that Wysa was also working on it. But when I saw the news, it immediately made me feel like, oh my God, I feel validated. If Wysa is also doing it, then it must be the right thing.
Right.
They don't have a huge presence in India. There are other small players who are also trying to build this in India. So you asked me a question, what differentiates Zensible from all the other players? What differentiates Zensible from Wysa is it is still UK focused, not India focused. And we are going to be through and through India focused. We will build whatever tools with cultural relevance, regional language support.
Correct.
I didn't talk about that. One of the things that really we struggle with when it comes to India is you have to, especially if you're taking to tier 3 and rural areas, you need to have the regional language support. And it's not one or two, there are so many regional languages,
Right,
and that's
right.
what we focus on. We already have support for Hindi for our application, and we will continue to support other regional languages as we go on. Okay, that is one thing. And the second thing is our privacy first approach of how we work through and weave in privacy and confidentiality into our product. I'm sure other people are thinking about it, but we don't compromise on that. And that is what these two are our differentiating factors.
A lot of startups now always say, in this budding space of AI and tech, they say launch first, iterate next. Do you believe the same?
To an extent. Yeah. You have to launch first because you need to get the market to tell you that whether you have done the right thing or not.
Validation.
Okay? Validation, market validation is really important, and you have to have that feedback from the user saying this works, this doesn't work. So launch first is right. We would also, we are aiming for that, but it will never come with compromising on the quality of the product or the privacy of the product. Okay, if we take in the application to the market today, and if there was a security hole, the trust factor is lost. So we may go with lesser number of features, but we will never go with, oh, there may be a security hole, but you know what, let's launch first. No, that is never going to happen.
Your pillars are strong.
Yeah, so that foundation needs to be strong, and we are going to launch with a reduced number of features, but that will not come compromising on quality and security. And everybody should do that.
Right.
Launch first. Don't try to build a monolith and then go. One of the things that I have learned is fail fast, fail safe, iterate. So you need to do that.
Yeah, I think people stop it. Fail fast. Fail fast and fail safe. One question I had, I think we just came over that. You were saying variables could be used to give data. I've used quite a few variables, but I feel the accuracy is not there yet, unless it's something like Whoop, where the sampling of data is much higher. But something even like an Apple Watch, the sampling is very low in terms of the frequency of sampling. So what do you think should be the how much data should be considered? What weight it should be given to data that we are getting from variable types?
See, that is exactly why it should. Yes, the client is having the variables,
right?
But I'm saying it needs to go to the therapist because they will be able to understand, is this data sufficient enough for me to give whatever feedback I need to give to the client. Okay, they are the subject matter experts, and they will be able to understand that. If my partner, if he takes a look at his data, he'll only see, oh, I've slept, I have not slept, my heart rate has been in this one.
Right.
What is the quality of data? That
True.
you need to give it to somebody who has actually worked on it. And that's why I feel like having a therapist first approach towards this is much more important. The technology will get better. Yeah, we are, every day it's growing leaps and bounds. But while we wait for it to get better, have that confidence that somebody who actually knows how to process the data is processing the data, right?
Makes sense.
If
we-
even now, you go online, you put a lot of symptoms online, physical health, forget about mental health.
Right.
You put a lot of symptoms online and you say, tell me what is wrong with me. Every symptom will at some point loop back to you have cancer.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you have cancer, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same with your mental health symptoms
Very
as
true.
well. They may all come back and say, you know what, you need to, you have this, you have.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it may or may not. So
Right.
you should not be going just by what you research over the internet or
true.
what you research over your data. You should actually get it validated. That's why
Very
the
true.
therapist first approach works.
Yeah, I think the lens that we should see in also is we have data, not information from that data. We just have the data, and we need to understand, to get information, it has to go through the right channel or
Yes.
somebody who understands this.
I think data, trust, and then interpretation, they're like an iterative cycle in themselves. It has to go through the right channels with the right people, with the right amount of trust as well.
Yeah, true.
Also, on the closing thoughts, one, so because you have been working in this space for quite some time now, I'd say, so if somebody is planning on building something around mental health, what are some interesting avenues that you think like people should work on? Like some interesting ideas that you feel should be worked on more. What are some ideas like that?
I think the wearable technology for mental health,
Right.
it does not have a lot of players right now. One of the other things that I have spoken about in another forum, and I will talk about it here as well, is the private individuals' mental health tracking. That's all fine, right? But in workplaces, there is so much more that you can do to track mental health, as long as the employees are confident that the data is not going back to their employers, right? You spend 1/3, if not more, of your time at workplace, right? And of that 1/3 of time, you spend almost half of it on calls, chatting to your colleagues over any sort of Teams or Slack or whatever, right? There's so much information that is available that, if processed, can give you early warnings of burnout in employees. In organizational settings, right, burnout is something that is very, very talked about. People don't come out, they don't know they are going towards burnout. You can keep giving them pointers saying, watch out for this, watch out for sleeplessness, watch out for headaches, watch out for frequent sickness, watch out for disinterest. You can give it all, but sometimes they don't want to see because they are too close to themselves, right? But by tracking chat messages to your colleagues, by tracking your voice modulations in calls, you will be able to have early indications that this employee, and by tracking their usage pattern of these tools, you will have early indication that this employee can potentially go towards burnout, right? That is, there is so much in there that you can do. The only problem there is the data needs to be like locked away. That data is only available to employee themselves or to a therapist that the company has utilized. No personal data. It doesn't even say that some grouping can happen, like this team is working too hard. Okay, that can go to HR and leadership, but nothing personal about you.
Right.
If we can give that assurance, that is an amazing tool that will help so many people. How
True.
many incidences have you heard of young people just losing their life to burnout, right?
Right.
Imagine what you can do if you can only bring in that data.
Yeah.
It's possible.
I mean, just like the sheer standard of how things are thought through when they are in the workplace, I think the whole dynamic will change.
Exactly.
Plus, the impact is huge. It also gives you that sense of community and trust within, saying, hey, if I can trust this is happening within my company, then I can be a little more open and vulnerable in myself with colleagues, which kind of gives the right perspective about an individual as how I am as going into work.
Yeah. So that
Can
is
radically change
Yeah, that is another one of my dream. Where one day I wish either I develop or somebody develops this, and people use it, and even if it saves one life, it would have been worth it.
Some cues for the audience in there.
Yeah. So anybody who's watching this, if they wanted to do that, please come talk to me. I'm more than happy to give you pointers.
I think I had an amazing conversation. Given that it's a topic of interest for us, some really good insights, and has to be a good contrast between how Indian health space works versus the Western culture. Insights were amazing, because I've been in the UK myself, and I know how different things were. In uni, there used to be clubs and committees where we're like, hey, you have to check in with us every now and then. We're going to help you. Something like that doesn't exist here. So could relate to a lot of it. And I think I had a lovely conversation with you today. And thank you so much for being with us.
And no problem. I had so much fun. You asked such good questions, and yeah, and I love to talk. So.